Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard, and he's constantly shifting his feet, and you think he's going to be there, and he's over here, and it's like this overload of thinking. It's not a casual, relaxed fight where you can kind of move around and get your groove, and he's going to stay on the outside, and you're going to... No, it's just constant.
For me, personally, I'm on a different level than everybody. And when it comes down to boxing, because Devin, he's a boxer.
Joe Rogan's brutal warning to Devin Haney about a potential Shakur-Stevenson fight has been making the rounds because it taps into a fear that a lot of boxing fans quietly have but don't always say out loud, and that is the idea that styles don't just make fights, they can absolutely break careers if the timing and matchup are wrong, and Rogan, speaking from his usual blend of fight IQ, outsider bluntness, and long-view combat sports perspective, essentially framed the Stevenson matchup as a
being terrifying. Every aspect of your senses at every moment. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard. This is like they're throwing insane money at people. They're throwing nutty sums of cash at people to make amazing fights happen. Like this has always been the hiccup in boxing, is that people don't want to fight certain people because they want to protect their record. The Saudis are like, how much?
Everybody's kind of high-risk, low-reward nightmare for Haney, not because Haney isn't elite, disciplined, or technically brilliant, but because Shakur represents a very specific kind of problem that can neutralize everything Haney does well while exposing the parts of his game that critics already poke at, namely his lack of one-punch stopping power and his reliance on winning rounds cleanly rather than violently, and Rogan's core message, stripped of hype, was basically this: if you fight Shakur,
looked phenomenal, you know, dominant performance. Just what do you think about that?
Man, he made it easy. You know, I was saying, like, if T.O. was to fight more on a back foot and throw punches when Shakur throws, that's the only time you're going to get Shakur. But T.O., he has a habit of getting out of position all the time. He'll double up his right hand, turn square, or turn southpaw. Like, that's not going to work, bro. That's not going to, you're not going to take up enough space to touch Shakur. Shakur's reflexes and his countering was just keeping T.O. at bay. It was an easy night from round one for him. Shakur got the dub.
Stevenson, you are choosing to enter a chess match where the other guy may simply be better at chess, faster at calculating, and more comfortable making you look ineffective for long stretches, which is the kind of loss that doesn't just hurt your record, it hurts your aura, your marketability, and your negotiating power going forward.
Teofimo looked like a novice. I mean, that's how good he is. 120, 109, 108, I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Is that what you expected from Shakur? No?
I mean, listen, I expected an incredible performance, but I didn't expect it to be completely one-sided. I mean, he won every round, in my opinion. It like the golfing levels was phenomenal. And I said to Bud, like, going into 12, he could do 40 rounds, Shakur. Like, never out of control, footwork, timing, shot selection. I actually think he could have stopped Teofimo if he'd have stepped on him. Teofimo looked like frustrated, just obviously was busted up to the face.
Rogan has always been fascinated by fighters who can shut opponents down without taking risks, and Shakur is one of the cleanest examples of that archetype in modern boxing, a fighter whose defense is so sharp and reactions so fast that even elite opponents struggle to land cleanly, and when Rogan talks about Shakur, there's a respect bordering on awe for how little damage he takes and how much control he exerts over distance, tempo, and space, and in that context, his warning to Haney wasn't.
He's a boxer. It's not like he's a stone cold killer who's just gonna go in there and try to knock me the out.
Yeah.
He's gonna try to outbox me. I'm the greatest boxer. How do you... So that's how I feel about the fight.
Yeah.
But it all gotta make sense from a business standpoint. I don't like getting up here and negotiating against myself. And,
for sure.
But for me, I'm willing to make the fight.
But do you see it as it being that could, you know, like we always said, the Four Kings, even though you wasn't a part of it, the whole thing, the whole plot was like at the end of the road, there's gonna be two guys left standing, and that's the big fight. Do you see that as that's potentially what that could be?
I'm a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, like, you are. I ain't gonna lie.
At the end of the day, Devin Haney is a bad motherfucker in his own right, but when you say like two guys standing, there's only one God with me, and that's me. Like, I don't see two gods. I don't see three gods.
Disrespectful, it was almost protective, like someone saying, you don't need this right now, because Haney's entire rise has been built on being composed, responsible, and technically sound, but also on taking fights where he can clearly demonstrate superiority over a full 12 rounds, whereas Shakur is the kind of opponent who doesn't give you those moments, doesn't let you settle, doesn't let you feel like the ring belongs to you, and Rogan's implication was that even if Haney trained,
I'm to 147, I'm coming in with rehydration clause. I don't even do that. But why am I going up to these guys' weight classes if I'm not planning on going there? So any of y'all want to fight me at 147?
Yeah, rehydration.
10 pounds.
10-pound rehydration. Like the IBF rule, basically.
You got to understand, that means on fight night, when we get in the ring, they're going to be 157, maybe 158.
Max.
No bigger than 160 that night.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
So if we could get it like, all right, like the IBF rule, 10-pound rehydration.
Yes, but think about it. If there's no rehydration clause, these guys gonna get it up to 170 pounds.
Yeah, 175.
I'm in the 140s on fight night.
Yeah.
So if I'm 140, they 170. Bro, what am I in here wrestling?
perfectly, showed up in peak condition, and executed his game plan, he could still find himself in a fight where nothing dramatic happens except the slow realization that he's being edged out round by a fighter who's just a half step quicker in every exchange.
But and there's some sort of a rehydration clause. Listen, kids, it ain't gonna matter. He's not gonna come in drained. What he's gonna do is just do extra cardio, and that's just gonna make him.
That's where the brutal part of the warning comes in, because in boxing, a close, technical loss to another undefeated elite fighter isn't always treated kindly by fans or promoters, especially when neither man is a huge knockout artist, and Rogan knows that the public can be unforgiving, often boiling complex fights down to narratives like boring, exposed, or overhyped. And he's seen enough careers across MMA and boxing to understand that perception can be as damaging as physical punishment.
Fighters didn't want to take the chance to step in the ring with this fighter. He's great. A lot of people started saying, oh, he's a runner, he's this, he's that. Just to detour people from being excited to see him fight because he's not knocking people out and all that crazy stuff. But they would see why people really don't want to get in the ring with him come tomorrow.
I know you've shared the ring with him, sparring plenty of times. What makes Shakur Stevenson great? What makes him different? What makes him, I don't want to say an ilk of yourself, but in the same kind of era, the Bud Crawford era, he's got a Shakur Stevenson era coming.
Everything. The offense, the defense, the poise, the rhythm, the distance, the timing, the punch placement, the react time. Like, I can go on and on. You know, the toughness, the grit, the grind. Like, he's amazing. You know, and tomorrow he will show it.
How do you think it ends tomorrow night? Do you believe that Shakur Stevenson can stop Teofimo Lopez? Because people aren't really talking about that.
Listen, if T.O. get out of line, you know, he can get hurt. You know, but I see Shakur outboxing him to a decision.
He also hinted at the psychological tax of fighting someone like Shakur, because when you're used to being the cleaner, more disciplined fighter, and suddenly you're the one missing, being countered, and having your jab neutralized, it can force you into uncomfortable decisions. Either you accept losing rounds quietly or you take risks that aren't natural to you, and that's when mistakes happen. And Rogan has always emphasized that high-level fighters don't usually get knocked out by being reckless from the start. They get knocked out when frustration builds and discipline slips for just a second.
It's like, okay, oh, he's better than everybody at 135, 140. Sure. Nobody could beat him, so now we gotta test him out at 147.
That's how.
Because he that good.
Yeah, but you know that though. That's the.
But tell me I'm that good then. Tell me I'm that good then.
Yeah.
If that's how y'all feel,
yeah.
Tell me. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I like that. I will say yes. You are that good. And when people are that good, we want to see a resistance fight. That's all we saying, and that's what I thought Tio was gonna get, and we ain't get that.
Damn. Damn, y'all.
We gotta find another one.
I feel bad for y'all, because y'all gonna be waiting for the rest of my career. Like, God damn, oh, we want to see some, it ain't gonna happen. The most y'all gonna ever get is a Zepeda. That was y'all best hope and chance at getting.
For Haney, whose critics already argue that he lacks the power to command respect at the highest level, a fight with Shakur could magnify that criticism, because Shakur has shown he's willing to take minimal risks, stay defensively responsible, and win a fight without chasing a finish, and if Haney can't hurt him, can't back him up, and can't out-jab him consistently, the visual of the fight could tilt heavily in Shakur's favor even if the rounds themselves are competitive.
Asked you about, obviously, whenever you're going to fight Haney, because I think we keep hearing about the negotiations falling through. Is that fight ever going to get made?
I would love for the fight to happen. Y'all can clearly see that I want the fight.
Yeah. Is what's off about it still the split?
I don't think that they want the fight to happen right now. Why would we fight this big risk fighter right now rather than wait a couple of years where we could make more money? But my only issue with it, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, don't perpetrate. You talking big, but truth be told, you put me and him in a ring where nobody else can help him. There's nobody else that's gonna be able to fight for him. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like, he know deep down inside that I'm the truth. That's what he know. He know he done been in the ring with me several times. Go ask him, like really ask him and tell him to be honest about me as a fighter. You'll really hear how he talk. Honestly, I think he's a good fighter, but I think that is.
Rogan's warning also touched on timing and career management, something he brings up constantly when discussing fighters, because he believes that taking the hardest possible fight just to prove a point isn't always smart, especially when belts, money, and legacy can be built more strategically, and in that sense, he wasn't saying Haney could never beat Shakur, but that fighting him at the wrong moment, before adding more layers to his offense or more physical maturity, could be a mistake that.
Asked you about, obviously, whenever you're going to fight Haney, because I think we keep hearing about the negotiations falling through. Is that fight ever going to get made?
I would love for the fight to happen. Y'all can clearly see that I want the fight.
Yeah. Is what's off about it still the split?
I don't think that they want the fight to happen right now. Why would we fight this big risk fighter right now rather than wait a couple of years where we could make more money? But my only issue with it, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, don't perpetrate. You talking big, but truth be told, you put me and him in a ring where nobody else can help him. There's nobody else that's gonna be able to fight for him. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like, he know deep down inside that I'm the truth. That's what he know. He know he done been in the ring with me several times. Go ask him, like really ask him and tell him to be honest about me as a fighter. You'll really hear how he talk. Honestly, I think he's a good fighter, but I think that is.
Echoes for years, and this is where Rogan's MMA background colors his boxing takes, because in MMA, one bad stylistic matchup can derail a title run entirely, and he sees parallels in boxing even though the sport traditionally allows for more careful matchmaking.
You know, Conor Ben, like, there's a lot of fights that, like, Shakur can, like, be involved in and beat all these dudes, man. Beat all of them. Has a chance of beating all of them, right? And solidifying, you know, his mark in the sport. You know, being, you know, the great of his generation. You know, when Crawford left, I told y'all that, you know, Shakur was the next guy on the throne. And I truly wholeheartedly still believe that. I know there's guys that has worked with Shakur in the past that swear up and down. Oh, shoot, I even forgot Murataya is there too. Guys like Andy Cruz. I mean, there's a lot of talented guys that people respect that Shakur has the ability to freaking challenge. Man, now imagine him fighting all those guys and putting that on his resume, man. We talking about legendary status. We talking about Mount Rushmore type of stuff, you know, because, you know, all these guys are the elite guys of this generation and people respect them. And if Shakur was to beat them, you know, he's going to definitely make his mark heavy in the sport and become extremely popular, you know, even more popular than what Terrence Crawford is right now, you know. And I feel like Shakur can be that face of American boxing that, you know, we've always had. You know, we have Floyd Mayweather. I think he can be as popular as Floyd Mayweather, if not more popular than Floyd Mayweather, you know. So I don't know, man. Guys, you know, tell me what you think. You know, am I tripping? But there's a lot of potential matchup for Shakur that could.
The underlying theme of Rogan's commentary was respect for both fighters but a clear-eyed assessment of risk, because Shakur Stevenson is one of those rare talents whose ceiling is hard to define, a fighter who seems to get more comfortable the higher the level of opposition, and who thrives on making elite opponents look ordinary, and Rogan's fear for Haney wasn't that he'd get knocked out or seriously hurt, but that he'd get handled in a way that's subtle but devastating to reputation.
And I don't think it's gonna make any difference that he give the title up because of weight difference. He just go to the next division and win that title as well.
How could Shakur beat him if he can't hurt him? That would be my question.
Listen, you don't have to hurt him, you just have to outscore him. You know, Shakur takes a good shot though. You know, he's a specialist. That's why some fights that he doesn't look good in, because he's so
Fight where analysts praise the technique while casual fans change the channel and promoters quietly reconsider future headliner potential. In today's boxing landscape, where social media clips, narratives, and fan sentiment move almost as much money as belts, that kind of loss can be uniquely damaging, and Rogan, ever the observer of how fighters are treated by the public, knows that winning ugly is forgiven far more easily than losing beautifully. He also implicitly acknowledged that Shakur himself faces similar criticisms about excitement, but the difference, in Rogan's view, is that Shakur's style is built to nullify, whereas Haney's is built to outscore, and when two cerebral fighters meet, the one who can force the other to react usually wins, and Shakur has shown again and again that he's the one setting traps, dictating exchanges, and deciding when punches are thrown. Rogan's warning, then, wasn't hype or trash talk. It was a sober reminder that greatness isn't just about taking the toughest fight available, it's about understanding what a fight actually costs you even if you lose by a razor-thin margin, and for Haney, whose brand has been built on being the young, disciplined, undisputed technician, a loss to Shakur could complicate that story in ways that are hard to reverse. Because fans love momentum, love dominance, and love clarity, and a close tactical loss creates questions rather than answers. Ultimately, Rogan's message resonated because it wasn't framed as fear, it was framed as wisdom earned from watching countless elite competitors make decisions that looked brave in the moment but questionable in hindsight, and whether Haney listens or not, the warning hangs in the air as a reminder that in boxing, the most dangerous opponent isn't always the hardest puncher or the loudest trash talker. Sometimes it's the quiet technician across the ring who can take away your best weapons and leave you with nothing but the knowledge that on that night, skill for skill, he was just a little better.